following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network and our review show here of the world on GCW at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I'm one of your hosts, California, alongside my good friend Juicy Boy. What is going on, bro?
Yeah, g'day. How you doing? Hello, as I might say. That's right, you fucking bastard. This was our first time covering a fucking GCW show in full. They've been making some waves around the industry. They are the internet darling of independent wrestling promotions in North America today. Let's get into it.
Yeah, bro. They've been making a lot of noise, especially last year, 2021 GCW. It's all you've been hearing about, aside from the usual bullshit with AEW and WWE. Made quite a bit of noise. We've been interested in checking out one of their shows, but we just hadn't taken the time to do it yet until this one right here, because this was the big one for them. This was the big kahuna, I guess you may say, where they have a show sold out, Hammerstein Ballroom. We all know the Hammerstein Ballroom from ECW and One Night Stand, etc. So we thought this is the perfect time to finally sink our teeth into Game Changer Wrestling and see what it's all about. Bro, when we first saw the show open up, what did you think of the setup, the layout, I guess the changes in the Hammerstein Ballroom as well?
I'm not a fan of the new paint job on the Hammerstein Ballroom balconies. They've kind of painted it this like this schoolhouse gray, this very sterile looking gray. Don't think that works. Setup of the show itself, the configuration of the audience, the entranceway, thought it looked fine. Did not care for all of the participants in the ladder match already being at ringside when the match started. That looked a little backyard wrestling to me. Looked a little garbage show to me. But the actual layout of the arena and the set and everything was perfectly fine. Although, as you pointed out, they actually had like a segment of the audience that was actually up on the stage right near the curtain where the wrestlers would come out for their entrances. And no guardrail around these people. There are literally people walking up and down the steps, like coming back from the concession stand, walking back to their seats. It's just, once again, big show like this, that's the wrong signal. This is a big show. No one in the audience should be able to get anywhere close to the action that's going on. It should be a hot ticket item that everyone's just lucky to be there to see. But instead it was almost like and I know GCW has that casual attitude, that sort of rebel outlaw mud show attitude to it, but at the same time you're trying to get over that you're in the Hammerstein Ballroom. You've sold the con out. The most memorable show in recent times at the Hammerstein is probably ECW One Night Stand 2005. I know Impact and Ring of Honor have run the Hammerstein at different times, a couple of final battles and stuff taking place, but this is the most significant show wrestling wise to take place in Hammerstein in some time, and it's definitely the biggest platform that Game Changer Wrestling has ever had. So even though it may seem early on like, I'm looking for nits to pick, I do feel like you can't send a dual message like that. You're either a professional outfit that's stepping up in the industry of wrestling, or you're still a rinky-dink outlaw promotion that's not ready for the big stage. You can't have it both ways. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people making comments on Twitter before this show saying, this might make GCW the number 3 promotion in the world. And after watching this show, they're definitely not there yet. And I'm not coming at the show with a negative thought process or looking for things to pick on. I was hyped. I was excited. I was ready to.
I was so excited. I was looking forward to this all day, man.
Yeah, and again, as you just mentioned about the entranceway, bro, no fans up there. As far as no fans up there, I wanted a nice fucking entranceway where you can have a cameraman walking backward, where you can get that nice tight shot of each entrant coming out with maybe a bit of a smog machine, whatever. You know, it doesn't have to look exactly like ECW One Night Stand in their entrance way, but you could have done something because you got these guys just kind of appearing from around a sea of people from a fucking long shot.
Yeah, especially the way they shot it. I was just about to add that. You know, it wasn't like they'd get the camera right up there at the curtain for these entrances. They'd usually have a long shot or a wide shot. So, you know, you're trying to actually, especially in the case of Carl and myself, who aren't that familiar with the product and all the wrestlers that are on the product, you know, we don't even know who the wrestler is until they're halfway down the aisle because we can't distinguish them from this sea of people. There are a number of issues production-wise and sort of presentation-wise that we will be touching on. You know, I know that there's going to be fans that are going to be watching this that are going to be rolling their eyes right about now, that are going to be like, oh, they're going to shit on it and trash on it because it's not WWE and it doesn't have the budget of a production like WWE or Impact, so how could it look the same? You know what? XPW recently did a fairly big event. We covered it here, right? Willie Mack won the XPW championship in the main event. I feel like that show, that promotion did a better job of making that show feel major league than GCW did with this one in large part. And this one was in the Hammerstein Ballroom. You know, there was a lot of good about this show, which we're going to get to. But the reason why I think we're harping on it now a bit at the beginning is because it's just a bit of a disappointment that, you know, it's such a landmark show in the history of the promotion and stuff. And it just seemed like they didn't put the thought into some of these things, you know?
Yeah, I agree, bro. And you know, one of the first visuals that I get is a ring announcer that looks like he's just someone who walked out from the crowd. And I get it. I get it. They don't give a fuck about the big pomp and circumstance, but put a leather jacket on the guy. Put a leather jacket in. Make him at least look a bit cool, not like he's just another mark from the audience. But anyway, bro, we start off the show with the Grab the Brass Ring ladder match. You know me, I have been over multi-man ladder matches for a long, long time. Not GCW's fault, but I've seen so many of them. They're a fucking dime a dozen now. It's PCO, Tony Deppen, Alex Colon, G Raver, Jimmy Lloyd, Jordan Oliver, and AJ Gray. 7 men Grab the Brass Ring ladder match. I'm going to let you take this one, bro. What did you think of the opening contest here of the world on GCW?
Okay. Well, I'm going to try not to jump around too much, especially for the people that are listening to this review in audio form somewhere out there in podcast land. So as I mentioned earlier, when I was talking about the opening of this show, as the show opened, the competitors of this match were already standing at ringside. I understand to a degree they might have wanted to save time and stuff like that, but given how much time they spent fucking around in between matches and stuff like that, I think they could have included the entrances for all the competitors in this Grab the Brass Ring ladder match. As you mentioned, the brass ring that GCW used was superior to the one that AEW used. Theirs looked like a fucking foam latex Sonic the Hedgehog ring, like someone would bring to a video game convention. And GCW's, it actually looked like a brass ring. It was just very simply hung up there on a hook. No extra spotlight and stuff over it. It was just dangling down there. Nice and simple. Next thing I want to point out on the positive side, the ladders were actually real ladders. They had those hardware store ones that have the plastic fold-out step on the opposite side. They had a couple of those ones, which they were obviously in there so the wrestlers could do spots with them. And then they had a couple of the old maroon metal WWF 90s, early 90s style ladders as well. Highlights of the match for me, performance-wise, Tony Deppen. I thought that he really showed me something. Oliver, he really showed me something as well. I thought that they were both standouts. I'd love to see a singles match between the two of them. I thought that for me, they were the smoothest in terms of executing their spots that involved the ladder and their coordination and their balance and things like that. Huge shout out to G Raver for the massive bump that he took onto the setup with the ladder and the chairs on the outside. that was a brutal bump. Also would like to shout out Alex Colon. There was a point in the match where Alex Colon was sat down onto a steel chair, and there was two steel chairs, sat up adjacent to each other, facing each other. Alex Colon gets kind of sat down on one chair, and then his head gets lowered down so it's on the other chair. So now he's in a kind of prone, bent over position on these two chairs. And then on top of him, another two chairs that are stacked on top of the ones that he's sitting on, which on top of those, a door is then placed. So now Alex Colon is very awkwardly kind of stuffed, positioned, curled up in this contraption that's been set up with these steel chairs. There's a table on top of him. I like that piece of psychology. I know it's a weird word for me to use at this point, psychology, but it is, because Alex Colon, it's credible that he wouldn't have been able to get out of that setup in the time it took for someone to climb the ladder and jump off of it. So I like that. It's a legitimate way for him to actually stay trapped. He's not just sort of sitting there waiting to be dived on or something like that. He's trapped in this thing. I believe it was G Raver gets up to the top of this huge ladder. He's already losing his balance by the time he gets to the top rung, but I still got to give him a partial credit here because he still tried to turn it into something. He kind of wobbled, lost his footing on the top of the ladder, kind of fell off, and ended up sort of sentoning the table and the chairs below. And it looked like a really rough impact for Alex Colon, and not a very pleasant landing for G Raver either. So huge props to them. Let me see. I know I'm jumping around a bit here and there, guys, but I'm trying to just recall it as it kind of comes to me here. AJ Gray, I thought that he, from a charisma and performance, like sort of like flamboyancy standpoint, I thought he sort of stood out to me. He had a connection with the crowd. It's clear that he has some panache and some oomph to him. Real shame that his big moment of the match, it didn't quite work out. There was a huge ladder set up on the outside of the ring, just behind one of the ring posts. There was a bunch of shit going on within the ring. AJ Gray climbs up this massive ladder, attempts to do a massive dive off the top. He took a long time trying to position himself on the ladder, and then he didn't even get halfway towards clearing the jump that he wanted to, and he landed right on the top rope, and it looked like it really hurt. Those ropes are not bouncy and fun to hit the way that some people may think when they watch wrestling on TV. I know that not our audience is that basic. All of the people at home know how painful it can be, but that was rough. One of his arms kind of landed awkwardly on it. One of his legs kind of hit it awkwardly. Just a really brutal bump. Props to him for just soldiering on and finishing the match. PCO, standout performer for me. PCO basically was the consummate pro in this match. I've waffled on a lot about this match. There's a lot to this match, but I think overall, it was like they bit off a bit more than they could chew. The effort was there, the motivation was there. I definitely give them props for the effort that they put in, but there were a number of things that they tried to pull off that didn't really work. I'm sure you'll touch on some more of them. And I'm going to have to give this match a C-. I'm going to call it just passable. There was just one or two crucial moments in the match that you could tell were meant to be pillars of the story of this match that weren't really executed properly, and I felt bad for the guys involved on such an important show. But, it wasn't bad by any means. I've definitely seen worse, but I think that more planning needed to go into the execution of this.
Yep. I want to correct you on two things.
Yes.
When G Raver did the senton off the top of the ladder, it was actually a ladder that was on top of Alex Colon.
Yes.
Not a door. And also when AJ Gray messed up that elbow drop, he actually ended up flipping onto a second ladder, which was just underneath the ladder he was jumping off. So
Yeah,
he didn't hit the ropes. He actually hit the ladder, but same point still, bro.
like yeah, he didn't make it. He didn't make it.
He just did. He didn't make it halfway. 7 guys. That ring is a very small ring in comparison to rings I've seen in the past. That looked like
it couldn't have been more than
the ring in WCW. Like WCW's
it
ring
couldn't
was
have been
way
more
smaller.
than 16. Couldn't have been more than 16 feet.
Yeah, it was not the same size as ECW's ring, WWE's ring. And WCW's ring was smaller than the WWF's ring back in the day. I think it was even smaller than that. But you got 7 guys, this small ring. I don't know, man. I think they need a fucking 18-foot ring as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah,
anyway, the parts I like most about this match, I thought PCO still got it, man. At his age, 51 years old or however old he is, to do some of those dives that he did, moonsault off the top rope. What do they say? It was like a fridge getting thrown off a bridge or something like that.
yeah. He said it was like a French-Canadian refrigerator being dumped off a bridge.
So I was very impressed.
Line.
I was impressed with him. It was okay. It had its good points. It had some off points, obviously. Very impressed with G Raver, PCO, and Tony Deppen. Obviously, AJ Gray got the victory in the end, but I could have took or left this one, and it didn't start the show off on a on a note that made me feel like, all right, this is Game Changer Wrestling. Here we fucking go. This made me feel like this was an attempt at a multi-man ladder match that you'd see on an indie show here in Perth, Western Australia. I feel like it could have been a lot better. It might have been better if it was only 4 guys, not 7. But look, props to the guys. They put their bodies on the line and they did the best that they could. But it just wasn't firing on all cylinders for me. One thing I wanted to say, and you mentioned this kind of earlier, about how kind of awkward things could be between matches, because there was like, a gap of time where you just have this cold shot of the ring as they're cleaning it up and the commentators are talking. Bro, this is where you cut to the commentators. You have a camera shot of them talking behind the booth, Joey Styles and Gertner did an ECW. They're standing there. They've got a banner behind them and they're standing there and talking. Something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be like Impact Wrestling where you got fucking Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown sitting at the table, or the NWA with their team sitting there at the table. You can do it backstage if they're not out there in the crowd, out there in the building, and they're commentating behind the curtain. That's a way you can go about it. I think that would help the awkwardness between match and match. And speaking of match and match, the next matchup, bro, was a Lucha Trios match. Former ECW ring announcer Stephen DeAngelis, who will be on the Insider's Edge in the next few weeks. Fantastic man, fantastic guy. He was ring announcing for this one, and he totally flubbed the first part. When the first team came out, he announced the other team, and at one point he went, whoa, and he realized that he completely announced the wrong team. And he didn't do any more ring announcing for the rest of the show, which I found to be humorous, and I might message him and see what went on there. But anyway, it was Gringo Loco.
He was still better than the other guy.
True. It was Gringo Loco, Demonic Florita, and Arez taking on Laredo Kid, who we saw at Ring of Honor's final battle. Bandito, one of the co-holders of the final Ring of Honor World Championship, and ASF. I don't have many notes here, bro. All I really have to say is that I did not like the idea of following up a multi-man match with another multi-man match. I thought that this was really good for a Lucha Trios match, although it did come across quite choreographed at certain points in time. I did write down I was not really into it for a good portion of it, but it was okay. I liked Rez and Laredo Kid's efforts in this. ASF really was, for a smaller guy, he really showed me something too. I felt like it went on a little bit too long. Gringo ends up getting the pin on ASF to win this trios match. I could have done without this match on the show, to be honest with you. It was good, and it was good, but it just, at this point, 2 matches in, and I'm like, man, come on, like I want to know what GCW is all about. I feel like I'm not getting it here. I feel like, it's nice to get a bit of international flavor on the show, no doubt about it. But for me, it just didn't fire on all cylinders for me again, bro. What did you think of the trios match?
Yeah, look, I kind of feel the same. I think ASF in the ring with Leo Rush or Dante Martin or somebody like that would absolutely tear it up. Highlight of the match for me was the double stacked electric chairs where a member of each team got their partners stacked too high on their shoulders. Like, and then at that point, ASF then stood up on the shoulders of the third man and jumped off and Canadian destroyed one of his opponents off of the opposing team's shoulders, if that description's making any sense. And it was one of the most incredible things I've basically ever seen a luchador do. I fucking pretty much like loudly popped, like full on popped for it. So that was a incredible moment. Other than that, my thoughts basically echo your sentiments. I'm going to go ahead and give this another C minus. This was better in quality than the ladder match, which I also gave a C minus, but just no heat on it and not really a lot of interest shown even by the commentary team in really what was going on. Like, crowd didn't seem into it.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Look, there's so many things I want to bring up here, and one thing is, you know, if anyone wants to say that they're the number 3 company, and look, I'm fucking rooting for GCW. I like the vibe. I like that people are saying this is the new ECW, and they don't give a fuck about the norms and all that. I fucking like that. I'm into it, bro. But for anyone to consider them higher than Impact Wrestling right now, bro, we just watched that Hard to Kill pay-per-view earlier in January. That was like a WrestleMania. That was a fucking A show. 9 out of fucking 10. 9 out of fucking 10. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. And I can go into that without watching weeks of television or seeing stuff beforehand. You give me a video package before a match. You show me the heat going into it. I'm invested. I want to see what's going to fucking happen here. That's what they do correctly. GCW, on the other hand, 2 matches out of the gate here. There ain't any heat behind any of it. So how am I, a guy who's a wrestling fan who's checking out their product for the first time, like I think thousands of people would have been doing here, checking them out, Hammerstein Ballroom for the first time, bro, you gotta find a way to invest those fucking new eyeballs immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't think in these first 2 matches you were going to get that.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I mean, here we are, Hammerstein Ballroom sold out by whatever that standard is today, because I'm sure the capacity is different from back in 2005. Sold out Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City, GCW. You know, I was expecting that to open up this show, this new era for game-changing wrestling, we'd have some pros come out and open up this show the right way and whip the crowd up into a frenzy. We'd get a crazy opening match that was really good and really exciting and everyone gets into. And then maybe you can do one of your little surprises or something at the end to start it off with a bang. Instead, we got this multi-man ladder match that, you know, I know a lot of the guys within are individually great wrestlers, but all of them, you know, they were fucking working together like a fucking bag of wet hammers in this ladder match. And that also was just the wrong flavor. And then the luchador match, like you said, it's good wrestling in a vacuum, but it's not what was needed here. It just, you know, it's hard to explain, but anyone that knows that values ambience at a wrestling event will understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, bro. I need heat sometimes, and I need to be brought up to speed is what I'm trying to say. And another point that I wanted to make was, you know, anytime I watch an Impact show, I'm brought up to speed, and I'm not brought up to speed on some of the things here. And look, it's fine. This is the way they wanted to go about it. Good for them, man. But the next matchup was supposed to be Blake Christian taking on Jonathan Gresham for the old Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know what happened to Gresham. I haven't checked the dirt sheets yet. But he was not there, and he was replaced by Leo Rush. And when I saw he was the opponent, I knew, okay, I like Leo Rush. I think he's a good talker. But I knew that this was another match that isn't gonna have any heat. It's going to be another one of those choreographed kind of, you know, good guy versus good guy matches with no heat behind it. I'm going to let you take the floor here, bro. But when I found out Gresham wasn't going to be on the show, I was highly disappointed. And it's not Leo's fault, but I just think Gresham's here, Leo's here. If you're going to have somebody replace Gresham, then it can't be someone from here. It has to be someone either here or here. It has to be someone at either level of a Jonathan Gresham or higher than him. Lio Rush, yes, he has got a bit of a name, but I don't think of as much of a name as Gresham as far as I'm concerned for a match like this. Bro, take it away. What did you think of this one? I know you're excited for Gresham to perform, so.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jonathan Gresham. I was most excited for that match out of everything on the card because I knew that no matter what this product offered, that match was going to be good. Now, there's a couple of things I want to address here because, you know, I also think it's good to use these reviews to kind of look at the industry a bit more broadly. So I like Lio Rush too, but I want to say, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. What the fuck is he doing?
I don't know.
You reckon he's a free agent?
What he's doing.
Here's the thing. He's been flip-flopping on what he's doing for so many fucking months now and getting attention in all the wrong ways and for all the wrong reasons for so fucking long that I automatically just don't really give a shit about his matches. Why should I care that he's coming into GCW? Because I know he's not going to be back there next month or the month after that. I know he's not going to go after the Extreme title or fucking continue to chase after the Ring of Honor title or anything like that. So why should I care? What the fuck is he doing? It's not my business what the guy wants to do with his life. That's his business. But, I mean, come on. At this point, it's like a liability booking him because all he seems to do is pop up here and there throughout the industry and then spout off through social media. So him being the replacement, even though it's a great wrestler and a good performer in Lio Rush, it's a very disappointing and deflating substitution for Jonathan Gresham, who is at the prime of his career at this point in time. And this Blake Christian, it's another, you know, and yes, everyone's probably going to fucking shit on me for what I'm about to say. Send your hate tweets to @WZWA Network, @Juicy Boy on Twitter. Blake Christian looks like a child. He does. He looks like a 12-year-old kid, you know, that's like cosplaying as a wrestler for a fucking high school talent show. He looked like he could work. He looked like he was a decent athlete, but he looked like a kid. I actually was thinking, like, even if Jonathan Gresham had appeared in the match, it still would have been a slight disappointment that this guy would have been the opponent, because I wouldn't buy this guy, Blake Christian, as being credible against a guy of Jonathan Gresham, who's already an undersized guy. But I wouldn't buy Blake Christian against Jonathan Gresham physically for a second. And Lio Rush is a bit smaller, so there wasn't really as much of a size disparity in that case. But once again, as you said, there's no heat on anything that they were doing. It really, you know, to be honest, like, I really felt like knowing what Lio Rush can do and seeing what I did see from Blake Christian in the ring, I feel like this match didn't really get out of second gear, you know? And I know that it is a substitution match and it was probably on short notice, but once again, it's a huge show at the Hammerstein Ballroom and thousands of people are probably checking this out for the first time. There can't be any room for eras like this and for popcorn fart matches like this that just fucking go like that without any heat, and everyone's already forgotten about them and forgot what happened by the time the entrances for the next match are on. I don't say this just to be an asshole. It's because I'm disappointed. I was excited for this show, and I think this is yet another example of, yes, they were stuck into a shitty situation, but they didn't even manage to make the best of that shitty situation.
Yeah, man. When you know they had announced that Gresham wasn't going to be there or whatever, and Blake Christian was on the mic saying, you know, they're going to face a guy who I've faced many times here before. The reveal was so lackluster because, again, the fucking entranceway, by the time Lio finally showed himself, the fans hadn't even popped or anything. The fans didn't even really react that much at all. It took fucking way too long for him to be finally revealed on camera. By that point, no one had even reacted, and I'm like, I'm already not interested, you know. And just to allude to what you said before, Leo, make your fucking mind up. You retire, you're a manager, you're a wrestler. What are you doing with yourself, bro? Get it together. Fuck, man. If
By the
only
way,
I had
I-
the talent that he has to be in the position that he's in, I wouldn't fuck around as much as he does with his own career.
Yeah. By the way, my rating was D+, because I forgot to throw that in there.
Thank you. But again, no heat. No heat on the previous matches. No heat on this. I don't care for it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I went into TNA Bound for Glory not knowing anything about anything. I haven't seen TNA for like 10 years at that point. And I was invested in some of the shit that took place because I could see that there was heat on stuff. It's not just about fucking having a wrestling match for me anyway.
No.
And I can't even get annoyed about it, but I am. It's not about that. There's got to be something else I can sink my teeth into. 3 matches into your biggest show ever.
Yeah.
I want to know what you're all
wasted
about.
Opportunities. It's a show of wasted opportunities, man.
And I'm glad that the finish was the finish. It was a nice finish, but fuck me, like I got up and got a beer during the match because I was like, this is the match where you go and get popcorn. This is what match where you go have a toilet break or whatever. Sorry, guys. I know you worked hard, but anyway, moving forward, finally we get a video package. We get a video package highlighting the feud between Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green, and Joey Janela. So I was excited to see what was going to happen here. This is the first time I'm seeing Joey Janela perform. So I know that Cornette talks a lot of shit about him. I know that you weren't a fan of his going into this. So that's all I'd heard about him. So it was my first time seeing him. I was going to just clean slate, see what he's going to be like. This was fantastic, but at the same time, it was such a mess. And I want to run through my notes here because this is proof in the pudding of you need like a company needing somebody behind the scenes that can actually put the match together and come up with a way for the match to go. And for all of these different fucking things, there's a whole lot of fucking shenanigans that took place in this, which popped me every time. But at the same time, I just kept thinking to myself, this is so weird the way that this match is moving along. Most of the match seemed like it was interferences. I don't even really remember a lot of what him and Joey did in the match other than a Death Valley driver on the ring apron from Janela. I just felt like it might have been overbooked, and maybe that was the point of it. Maybe the point of it was to overbook it because Cardona is bringing this cartoony shit into Game Changer Wrestling. The cup spot was great when Chelsea Green kicked Matt Cardona in the balls, and we thought she turned on him, but it was a swerve. And then I followed up with another swerve when she turned on Janela immediately. I thought that was a great spot. But then all of a sudden, you have Cardona's manager come out. He's saying that Vince is here. Out comes Virgil, who's been known as Vincent in his career, wearing a Vince McMahon mask. He takes off the mask. It's him. Cardona rolls up Janela for a 2 count. Virgil's gone. What?
Yeah. You never see him again.
Yeah, I just thought that was weird. And then Hornswoggle, he shows up. I'm like, fucking hell, like that's funny. And then this big fucking what was it?
His name is
Stackhouse?
Stackhouse.
Sam Stackhouse. Sorry, I've never heard of him before. I thought it was a guy out of the fucking crowd, bro. If he's going to make a run in, wear something that looks a little bit more appropriate than fucking tracky pants.
Trackies and a t-shirt.
You know, so I didn't know at this point. I was like, what is going on? Who is this guy? Why is he going after Hornswoggle? Then Marco Stunt comes out and attacks Hornswoggle. You know, I find it funny, but why is that fucking happening? Why? They've got doors, not tables. I find that hilarious. It's very backyard wrestling. At this point, I thought this has gone on too long. Yes, I'm popping for all the cameos in this thing, but we've forgotten that there's a fucking match going on here, it feels. Really did pop for Brian Myers coming out and doing the Edge thing from One Night Stand 06. I thought that was a fantastic way to finish the matchup. So it was a good finish with the Rough Rider through the table. But fuck, the way that we got there, it probably needed to have a couple of things cut out, and it needed probably an agent there to really give them notes and dot points that they really needed in order to make this feel like this roller coaster ride that had the fans fucking going crazy. It felt like the fans weren't really going that crazy. And then after the match, X-Pac, he comes out, lays out Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. I loved that. I loved a lot of the things that happened, but at the same time, I was just like, none of this makes any sense to me, even though it also kind of makes sense. It was just overbooked, and it was just, I don't know, bro. I wasn't trying to be critical. I'm really not trying to be critical. It just, to me, it just felt like it was just a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about.
I
for
liked
me,
it.
this
It was just a mess.
Yeah. At this point in the show, for me, this was the best thing that had been on the show. It was overbooked. It just felt like it kept on coming and coming. It felt like they had every interference that was planned to be in the show throughout the whole entire event was accidentally triggered to go off during this one match. That's kind of what it felt like. However, this is what I wanted to see when I found out I was going to be watching a GCW show. This is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the irreverence. I wanted to see him having fun. I wanted to see people I haven't seen in a long time pop up. I wanted to see those people work with people that they've never interacted with before. I wanted to see people, see these inside jokes and inside rivalries and things that, smart marks and real dedicated hardcore fans would pop for, but maybe nobody else watching outside would get. We got all of that in this match. This is what I wanted to see. I was like, finally, this is what GCW is about. The parodying of WWE, the callbacks to iconic moments, the usage of different characters that have a history together and stuff like that. It was so refreshing after the matches we'd seen leading up to it to finally be like, all right, yes, now we're in GCW. Now I'm watching GCW. I'm going to give the match a B+ because I really enjoyed it. I want to say that this is the best match I've ever seen of Joey Janela's. And my opinion of him has gone up a notch after this match, which puts him at notch 1. So I now don't completely fucking hate his guts. I now can tolerate him from one match that I've seen him in. Let's hope that he keeps up the good work. You can definitely tell Matt Cardona is a consummate professional, held this thing together. I thought that he and Chelsea Green, unlike most couples in wrestling that are together in real life that make you want to fucking vomit, I thought that Cardona and Chelsea Green actually work really well together. They've got a really good chemistry and a really good flow. And so, yeah, I was pretty impressed by it. But there's a caveat to that B+, because as you alluded to, it did drag on a ton, much like most of my comments in this review. I feel like I'm long-winded tonight.
Yeah, no, it was a high point of the show, but again, it was just weirdly put together. It just seemed like the interferences really took up a meaty part of the matchup. And props to Chelsea Green. I thought she did great too, and she's so hot. Moving forward, bro, Mance Warner came out for a promo talking about GCW. I know they mentioned he had some injury problems, which may have left him off the show. Bro, what did you think of this segment? It was a little, I'll just lay it out and I'll let you give your thoughts. He gets interrupted by Atticus Kogar, who I've never seen before. That ends up having his group, Eddie Only, Gregory Iron, and Bobby Beverly attacking Mance Warner, and Matthew Justice was there as well. And then all of a sudden, Sabu and Bill Alfonso showed up to help out. And then the segment ends with Rob Van Dam's ECW theme song playing. What did you think?
I want to point out the promo work of Mance. I actually thought it was a good promo. The reason I liked it is because I was like, yes, that's how this character would talk. That's how this guy fucking sounds. I felt like the promo came across really authentic. I liked the fact that they actually let the guy talk for like, a minute and a half before they actually sent out the interference. I groaned and rolled my eyes when the guy came out to interfere. I don't know why a guy like that has a group on in this product. He looked like a fucking backyard wrestler or like an AAW Perth
I wrote
wrestler.
he looked like I wrote a teenager interrupts. Like he looked like a teenager.
Yeah. He looked like a teenager wearing Elucha gear that was fucking, performing in front of 20 people on some weekend show. Really glad that Sabu and Bill Alfonso whooped their fucking asses. Shout out to my boy Greg Iron, professional wrestler who has cerebral palsy, just like me. But it's great to see him after all these years clawing his way up the indies, to see him on a fairly prominent show like this, even if it was in a small role. But I just wanted to mention that because I was happy to see him in that position. I'm a big fan of his. Sabu and Bill Alfonso themselves, charisma coming out the wazoo. People were really into it. They seemed really into it. But as you said, they didn't close in on Sabu. There wasn't a lot of connective tissue that made you go, oh, there's a good reason for this happening. It was just like the lights randomly went off and then he popped out. And, again, it just felt like it wasn't really, the details weren't really mapped out as perfectly as they could have been.
Yeah. Because I was hoping like someone like really well known was going to interrupt him. I'm sure that there's a pre-existing issue there. My bad for not knowing. But when Atticus came out, I was like, who is this teenager? Maybe that's on me for not knowing him. Maybe he's a fantastic performer and I'm not aware. But I just thought this was weird. All of a sudden, Sabu shows up. There's not a good tight shot from the camera on Sabu. He's wearing a mask, so you can barely even see his face. It might as well have not have been him. He could have put anyone under the hood that he wears, and you could have said it was Sabu, and we wouldn't have known. I just thought, okay. Then he throws a chair. Alfonso gets involved with the chair. It's cool to see both of them back doing something. I know Sabu can't wrestle right now. I know he wants to at least have one more match before it's all said and done, but I just thought this was weird. The segment ended with Rob Van Dam's ECW theme song playing, and I just wrote down, this is a weird show. Like, I kind of feel like Brett Lauderdale has done a great job in getting the company to get a bit hot, and people are talking about him, but I'm not quite sure if the booking is quite where it needs to be, and that the ideas that are being put forth are being executed properly, so that it doesn't come across weird. And I don't know, again, this whole time I've just been feeling a bit weird about this show. And then I looked at the results, and apparently that this was officially sanctioned as a match when Alfonso did a pin. So the Second Gear crew defeated 440 by pinfall. Whatever. It wasn't a match, mate. It wasn't a match.
I mean, they've got stuff that they've got a lot of ideas that I think are fun, and there's entertainment value in there. But it feels like it's just, hey, reference from something cool. Let's like look at something cool that we used to all enjoy, and then we'll laugh about the fact that we're referencing it here in this promotion. And it's just, let's grab something from WCW. Let's grab something from the Attitude Era. Oh, isn't it sick? We're referencing these things, but it's in a modern context and with this ironic, irreverent, millennial perspective on it, on the nostalgia and the good old days of wrestling. But they're not really, at the same time that they're doing that, they're using a lot of that to draw a buzz, but they're not really establishing their own identity, as GCW. Like, their champion is Jon Moxley, and I understand that he's been away in rehab and stuff like that. But even before that, their last few champions, they don't really have their own homegrown champion, a guy that represents them, that champions them. So I feel like, okay, we've got a lot of fun references that are going to pop me temporarily, but what's going to keep me coming back and watching the next show?
Exactly, bro. You can keep throwing these random cameos all you like, but are they going to be there next time? I don't think so. I would have preferred seeing somebody like Too Cold Scorpio in the show because he has been wrestling for GCW quite a lot in the last year. I would have liked to have seen him on the show, but it is what it is. Let's move forward, bro. Ali Catch, we get the token females match on the show. Ali Catch takes on somebody she's always wanted to wrestle, Ruby Soho. I will run through my notes very quickly here. Again, I wrote they're shooting the entrances like shit. I think Ruby's was a bit of an improvement on Ali's, but I just wasn't, again, happy with the entrances and the way that they're shooting the show. They got a lot of cameras, props to them for the amount of cameras that they had. But again, there's no heat on this. There's no heat on this. It's just a match. That being said, this was, at this point of the show, the most solid actual match so far. As far as I was concerned, Ruby wins. I was impressed with Ali. I thought she was, she's a good worker, and these two seem to click quite well. One of the best Ruby Soho matches I've seen so far in her career. So I was happy with this match. It kind of made me feel like, okay, maybe things will get better from here on. We're like in the second half of the show now. Let's see what takes place after this. But bro, what did you think of Ali Catch and Ruby Soho?
Yeah, not much to say for this one. I thought both ladies looked great. I thought wrestling-wise, as far as a singles match, this was possibly the best match in ring-wise on the entire show. I thought the ladies really went out there and they didn't worry about getting swept up in the GCW vibe or doing something to go like, oh, look how cool I am. They just went out there and worried about having a great wrestling match, and I think they accomplished that. I think Ali Catch has a hell of a future. I think Ruby has a hell of a present and a future. And I'm going to give this match a B+ as well. I thought that they both did a tremendous job, and there was heat and fan interest on this match.
Yeah, cool, bro. Moving forward, we have another very hyped match for this show because it's the in-ring return of the last outlaw, Jeff Jarrett, as he takes on Effy. Bro, I'm gonna let you take this one away. We got a nice little video package kind of letting us know what happened before this match. Guess what? I was invested in this match because there was heat. There's something there. There's a story that I fucking give a fucking dick about. Okay, bro, what did you think of Effy and Jarrett?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed the video package as well. As you said, it really set the tone for like, oh, they've got this dastardly veteran that's, a big name, and he's coming in and saying like, you guys aren't outlaws, you're just posers. I'm the real outlaw and I'm an actual professional. I feel like Jim Cornette would probably come in his pants if he ever saw what Jarrett was actually doing here, which he never will. I thought that Jarrett looked great. I love that they had this kind of evil, demonic remix of Jeff Jarrett's WCW theme. He came out wearing the coat, the hat. He had the old brown wrestling boots on and just his, the black pants. And he came out looking like he was ready for a bar fight, looking like an actual outlaw. The consummate professional comes out with his guitar, doesn't sweat the fans, doesn't sweat the atmosphere. He's out there doing his thing. His opponent Effy comes out. I thought Effy was good from a character standpoint, but I didn't think much of him from a working standpoint. However, I really enjoyed this match because the right person won, Jarrett won, guitar shot, stroke onto the broken guitar, 3 count, perfect. So that's good. I thought that they worked a very good kind of I don't want to say like old style Southern, but a very like a showmanship heavy match. It was very low on the bumps, low on the high spots. It was much more about the story they were telling about just these two opposites and, the dichotomy between these two that was inherent in who they are, that was going to naturally result in an implosion between them. And that was the story they were telling. And I thought that Effy held up his end of that bargain really well. And I thought that Jeff Jarrett showed that he still has a lot to offer the wrestling industry if they book him this way. I'm finding myself wondering why they never did something like this with him towards the end of his TNA run, or, you know, at other times in his career, especially in WCW. I feel like this last Outlaw gimmick would have kicked ass in WCW compared to what he was doing at the time in 2000, 2001. I don't really have many notes on the actual match, except that I think that Effie can stand to improve his bumps and tighten up his footwork and his basics in the ring. You know, having a good character will only take you so far if, like, you know, eventually you're going to get in the ring with somebody that's not so easygoing on that stuff and that's going to get pissed off that, you know, because there were several moments I noticed where it's just like, God, it sort of looks like a trainee taking bumps at times, you know. But thankfully they kept that to a minimum. This match is getting a C+. I would have liked to have bumped it up to the B, but because of the actual work rate, it's going to stay down at a C. But still, I was really entertained by Jarrett in particular.
Me too, bro. It's kind of like this, man. Jeff Jarrett's out there wrestling. I'm invested already because I have fucking how many years now? 24, 25 years worth of being invested in Jeff Jarrett and everything that he does. Always been a big fan of his work. To see him have his first match in several years, I was very intrigued to see how it would go. The fact that he didn't even take one proper back bump or big bump in the match. He did a couple of rolls, but no massive bumps from him. Yet you wouldn't even notice it. You wouldn't even notice it to the untrained eye. So he managed to get through a whole match and still keep me invested the whole time. This match was about story. This match was about telling that story. This match wasn't about high spots, as you said. But as far as Effie's concerned, Effie, I guess, hangs his hat on his gimmick, and that's fine. But like that can, like, imagine what it's good, like his career is going to be like in 5-10 years time. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
you have to. Like, I hope that he can find a way to evolve with the gimmick and not just hang his hat on the fact that his character's, well, he is gay. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, no problem. But like to just hang your hat just on that for some of the spots that you come up with in your match. Okay, think about where you're going to be in 5 years' time. I'd be interested to see, because I don't think that he was bad in the ring. I'd like to see what he can do with someone else. So we'll see what happens going forward when we review more GCW. Very happy with the finish. It had to be Jarrett that won. And I like the fact that he hit the guitar. The guitar was still around Effie's neck. Stroke, 1, 2, 3, all over. Happy to see the last outlaw get the victory. So for me, at this point, the high points of the show is Cardona versus Janela, is Catch versus Soho, and Effie versus Jarrett. But then we get to our next couple of matches, bro, and I'm going to take this one, and then you get the chance to take the main event. The next one is for the GCW World Heavyweight Championship. It's Homicide. It's Jon Moxley. I was incredibly disappointed in this one. I expected so much more. And I know John's just got back. It's his first match in a couple of months. I'm a massive fan of Homicide. I think he's awesome. What they did do was great in the match, but fuck. The finish was so anticlimactic. This is where a company needs a good finish guy. They don't have a finish guy in this company as far as I'm concerned, because none of the finishes really were that great except for the Jarrett match. And I guess Ali and Ruby's finish was pretty cool too. Cardona and Janela's was all, you know, that fucking shenanigans and hijinks, which was cool too. But again, the whole match wasn't, you know, correctly laid out as far as I'm concerned. They needed a good finish person to really think about how this match should get towards its conclusion, because I felt like I didn't get that, Homicide might win this. Oh my God. Like, it wasn't a roller coaster ride for me. And that's what I wanted from a world championship match. seeing Homicide and Moxley fight for the first time, for me, I know they've wrestled before. I wanted to see like a fucking all-out fucking war here. What I got was a match that was great, but it had such a weird and anticlimactic finish. I was like, bro, come on. You guys have been doing this for a long time now. GCW's been around a while now. Is there no other way to have a finish than the way that you had? So, you know, I'm sorry to shit on it. I didn't want to, but I just expected more, and that's why I'm disappointed. Your turn, bro. What did you think of Moxley and Homicide?
Yeah, well, not too much blame can be levied at Jon Moxley because he's just come back from hiatus. But this match for me was technically proficient in everything that they did, but it felt exactly like the Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki match from the AEW pay-per-view. It just had no heat on it. It had nothing, no oomph to it, no fire to it. And I don't really know what happened, whether the guys were on autopilot or whether it's just Jon Moxley shaking off some ring rust. As you said, there was some stuff that I did like. I liked the counter out of the Cop Killer by Jon Moxley. I thought that Jon Moxley himself was moving around a lot better, and he's leaned up a bit, and was definitely a lot more spring in his step and a lot more oomph in his movements. However, I just felt like this match didn't get out of second gear for me, and I don't like saying that, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to give it a D plus because it just didn't work for me, and the anticlimactic finish did not help matters at all. It sort of came out of nowhere, and I felt like its placement being second last on the card also didn't help things either in retrospect.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the reason that was because they wanted who to make that final promo to win the show. So I'm assuming that's why. The final matchup on the show was the Briscoes defending the GCW World Tag Team Championships against mystery opponents. It was an open challenge to any tag team. We all know it couldn't have been FTR because Tony will probably want that to happen in AEW. Fuck you, Tony. And probably Jeff Hardy. That was another rumor, was the Hardys, but Jeff's probably got his fucking no compete bullshit going on. So what did you, first of all, before you even talk about the match, bro, what did you think when you found out that the tag team that had accepted the challenge was the Bulldozer Matt Tremont and Nick Gage?
I felt disappointed, to be honest. I feel like, yes, it's not the FTR match. And, I know that the fact that it was an open challenge, they're trying to get people speculating, will it be FTR? Will FTR show up in the crowd or something like that? Nick Gage, I was really glad that he was going to be on the show. It was sick to see Matt Tremont, but I would have much preferred an established tag team unit. I would have preferred to see fucking the Headbangers come out or something like that, or the New Age Outlaws or some shit like that, just some legends or some just a big name team that can come out and really make it a special match for
Express,
GCW
bro.
at the Hams.
I know they're old, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah, that would have been sick. Anyway, though, they had these two guys come out. I don't even have a ton to say about the match. I once again felt like this match didn't get out of second gear as well. It felt rushed. By the time we got to this point in the show with the second half of the Moxley match and the main event here, it felt like they were trying to rush to squeeze everything in the time that they had. The finish was extremely anticlimactic. Nick Gage hit his fucking Irish curse backbreaker, and it was a 3, and we weren't even sure if it was a botched 3 count or what. The whole thing just came off really strange, and it's getting a D- from me. Disappointing to have to give the main event that rating. Disappointed that wasn't more excited about who accepted the open challenge. I think that sums it up for me, bro. There are a number of things. The open challenge tag team at the end being one of them, a prime example. It's one of those things that I think the people booking GCW think would be this amazing idea, but they forget that not everyone is a hardcore GCW fan. You know, it's the kind of thing that maybe hardcore GCW fans would fucking pop like fuck for Matt Tremont and fucking Nick Gage teaming up to accept this challenge. But in the context of the FTR match that everyone knows is looming, and in the context of the Briscoes being this really accomplished team as a unit, you know, I was really let down and deflated that it wasn't another badass tag team accepting the challenge here.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. We're getting a little bit long in this review, and I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible. Appreciate your thoughts there. This is the problem. They have that big fucking screen in the fucking building. Can somebody not fucking edit together just as someone's theme song's playing, the fucking name showing up? Can no one fucking do that? When you got surprise fucking people coming out, can we not see the name on the screen? Which might go, oh,
yeah.
Because Separate Ways by Journey is Matt Tremont's theme song, right? A lot of people might not know that.
I didn't know.
And by the time that the fucking camera showed who it was, the song had already been playing for a fucking minute. And again, the crowd didn't fucking pop hugely. The crowd weren't being that crazy fucking Philly ECW style crowd.
They weren't the whole night. They really weren't,
man.
They really weren't, man.
The crowd really fucking made a lot of these fucking moments flat. And not only that, but the way things are being shot, by the time someone's finally being shot on camera, because of your stupid fucking entranceway, if you had an actual entranceway where the first time you see somebody is they show up in the fucking entranceway through a fucking curtain, not walking around a group of fucking fans,
like a backyard wrestling show.
It boggles my mind, bro. I'm just this podcaster guy from fucking Perth, Western Australia, as are you, and immediately you and I both know how something should be set out and laid out for a fucking entrance to get a fucking pop from people. You have to have a proper entranceway. You have to utilize your fucking entrance video screen. Instead of just having the logo of the show, then just fucking get a fucking flag. Print out a massive flag. You don't need the screen if you're not even utilizing it. Maybe you've got the fucking video packages for the live crowd, but you're not even utilizing it for people's entrances. Anyway, I'm sorry to keep on harping on it, but I'm very disappointed. So I felt like it was a disservice to Matt Tremont, and we're not getting the fucking pop, because by the time he fucking shows up, people are still trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Okay?
They didn't pop for, they barely pop for anyone though.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, finally, we know who his tag partner is going to be, because the fans are chanting for him. If it's not him, then fuck. It would have to be Atsushi Onita in order to get the fucking pop that we need. It's Nick Gage. Cool. He had to be on this fucking show. He had to be. This match only went like fucking 8 minutes or something like that. A few cool spots. I think Mark Briscoe did a dive to the outside through a table on Tremont, which was fantastic. But I expected a fucking barn burner. I expected back and forth fucking hardcore shit taking place here. I expected so much more, considering what I saw of the Briscoes at Ring of Honor Final Battle. I was incredibly disappointed with the finish. The pile driver of the second rope was cool and all that. Then there's the choke slam backbreaker or whatever. And then, one of the Briscoes tries to break up the pin just at the end there, which made it seem like, oh, is the match over? It was. And I just think it made the Briscoes look fucking shit. Maybe they're out. Maybe they're leaving GCW to go to AEW. Maybe that's what's going on. But I just thought the finish of the match made them look like shit, that they lost the title so quickly, because it didn't look like Nick Gage and Tremont were really doing anything that was fucking crazy that would have led to them winning so easily. I'm just surprised that the main event of their biggest show that they've ever had went less than fucking 10 minutes. Yeah. And the finish was anticlimactic. Again, you need a finish guy there. So yes, the promo afterward by Nick Gage was fantastic. Everyone getting in the ring was great, but I'm sorry. I
actually thought the ending with everyone getting in the ring was unearned, bro. I'm gonna say it. You know, it might be something else that people are gonna be annoyed at me about, but it was unearned. The show the show was not a special once in a lifetime night to remember show. As far as I'm concerned, from the perspective of a long-time wrestling fan, this is not a show that I'm probably not gonna remember half of this tomorrow, and I doubt that I'll ever go back and watch it. So yeah, and it's disappointing that that's how I feel. But like, the more we're discussing it, the more I find myself feeling that way. So
See, because like beforehand, I was thinking to myself, I'll give this probably about a 6 out of 10. But now that we've been really talking about it and sifting through it with a fine-tooth comb, I'm like, man, this was disappointing. I can't believe I'm saying that, because I went into this looking to be really positive, bro.
dude,
Like, it's not like when we review AEW and I'm looking for the bad stuff, because I expect way more of them considering the budget that fucking company has. But I'm looking at this GCW show being like, I can't wait for this. That's fucking
dude, I
let's
was
sink our
hyped.
teeth
I
into
was
this,
so
bro.
hyped.
Yeah. So, bro, give us your rating out of 10 and your final thoughts.
And look, it might be our fault for setting expectations high, but like, that's the thing. You want to think that you should set your expectations high for a show like this. Look, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. Some people are gonna think that's ridiculous. Send your hate tweets to @JuicyBoy. See if I give a fucking shit. 4 out of 10. Not even really what I would consider to be like a pretty good show. It was like a just barely passable show. But it's getting a 4 instead of a 5 because there were several botches in basically 9 out of 10 matches. So that can't be ignored either. As much as I like the product and I want them to succeed, there are some people that were on this card and that are in this company, GCW, that do not belong on this kind of stage yet, as far as their skill level. That showed in this show. The immaturity of the booking showed in this show.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm going to give 1 point for Ali versus Ruby. I'm going to give 1 point for Janela and Cardona, 1 point for Effie and Jarrett, and I'm going to give a point for X-Pac popping me for his appearance, and another point for the Brian Myers Edge moment. So I'll give it a 5. It probably could have got less than that. And I'm sorry, any GCW fans, you probably haven't even lasted this long to the review, because it's probably annoyed you that we weren't overly thrilled with the show, but we just expected a lot better. We expected to walk away from this being like, wow. So I think that's something that GCW probably need to look at. If they do look at this and they do look at it with a critical eye, I hope they think, man, we really could have done a lot better with that show. And
the potential's there. But like, when you think about where GCW is in the grand scheme and where XPW is in the grand scheme, and they've both just recently done these big shows, you got to ask yourself why XPW's was better than GCW's. There's definitely some shit that needs to be fixed up. So kind of disappointing, but that's fucking reality. We say it how it is on this fucking channel.
That's it, bro. Okay, time to sail off to the sunset. Let everyone know where they can find you.
I'm on fucking Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. I'm on YouTube. And the name that you're going to be typing into those search bars to find it is Juicy Boy. And just in case you don't know how to spell that fucking shit, the spelling of that word is JOOSEYBOY. And I'll see you on fucking social media, folks. Send your hate tweets. Let me know that you disagree. Let us know at WZWA Network, bitch.
Yeah, if you disagree, please tweet at me. Let's have a conversation. I'm not going to be rude to you. Let's just talk.
No, we want. Like, this is just the persona that we put on for the reviews. We would love to chat. Tell us what you think.
Let's have a debate. Let's not argue. Let's not call each other names like AEW fans and WWE fans do. We can have a conversation with you. You can find me on Twitter at CaliforniaWZWA. That's KARLIFORNIAWZWA. Find the WZWA Network on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. Just type in WZWA Network on anything and everything. Also go onto the Rizon Network, RIZON, on IRC chat. That's Ryzen.net, and go into the chat room. Hashtag wrestling. Great group of people in there that love all types of pro wrestling. Check it out. Thank you, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, no worries. No worries, shitbag.
Yep, and thank you all out there for watching this review show here, The World on GCW. I'm California. This is Juicy Boy, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Bang.